Come on. We will win. Because we will hit all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. Because we are the best on the field. And we hit the field like all day light, all night light, on the blue light, offense light, defense light, his squad light, house call light, and it sound light, and it sound light, and it sound light.
Yeah.
It's official. It's official. It's official.
Combine season is upon us.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better be coming. This the day you've been waiting on your road.
Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host Daniel Short. Today is Wednesday, February 9th, February 10th, 2016. And I keep doing that. I keep saying welcome like I'm doing like a transition or something. I don't know. Very weird. I hope everybody had a great week, great weekend. We had the Super Bowl and an amazing Super Bowl. I couldn't understand the tweets of people saying that this was a boring Super Bowl. It made no sense to me because it was one of the most entertaining Super Bowls. I get it. There was a lot of punting from the Panthers. We expected a different Panthers team that showed up. But overall, I thought it was one of the best Super Bowls. I thought it was very entertaining to watch. I think the commercials is what let us down. I think a lot of the commercials were subpar, somewhere to where we expected them to be at. We got a lot of news to talk about, both college football and the NFL. We're going to go through that. And first, the intro you guys just heard is by Triune featuring EQ on their new single, Forever. You can buy it on iTunes right now, as well as Google Play and other good Play stores. Good Play stores? I don't know. Music places. All links are in the description down below. And we're going to talk again about just about everything. Obviously, the news with Cam Newton. We're going to touch on that a little bit. As you see, I got some posters. I was like, I couldn't deal with the empty gaps that were in the video. I think a lot of it came out great. Last time, I think we did a pretty good job with it in last episode, last Wednesday. But this right here wasn't. It's too empty. I'm thinking about adding more stuff. I don't want to be too Chargers. I don't want people thinking I'm too much of a homer or anything, because I do love me my San Diego Chargers, but at the same time, I want to spice it up a little bit. I want to have different things around here. I'm thinking about adding some different stuff. I did add one thing, but I realized it had a logo on it, which I don't get paid from any sponsorship, so I'm going to be damned if I put a free sponsorship up there. But anyways, we got a lot of news to talk about, and again, that's with college football first, and that is Oregon running back Thomas Tyner. Actually, this is probably a little bit old now, but he was one of my favorite running backs in college. Has decided to take a medical red shirt after sitting out all of last season because of a shoulder injury. Now, Tyner was the Ducks' third leading rusher as a true freshman back in 2013, and again in the sophomore in 2014. He finished his Oregon career with 1,200 yards rushing, almost 13. And 14 touchdowns. He missed 5 games his sophomore season, and he played in the first college football playoff, rushing for 124 yards, 2 touchdowns in a Rose Bowl victory over Florida State, and then just only 62 yards against Ohio State in the national championship loss. And then last season, he missed all of it because of a shoulder surgery. Thankfully, Oregon, watching out for their players. He will remain on scholarship, but it won't count against the team's 85-team player limit because of NCAA rules. So it's good for them, good for him. But it just sucks that that's it for Thomas Tyner, because he really did have a future in it, and it sucks that an injury had to take him out. Florida Gators quarterback Treon Harris might not be the quarterback anymore. Now, obviously, the past couple seasons, there's been back and forth between Treon Harris and Will Grier. And now Jim McCoy not really wanting Treon Harris to be the quarterback, Well, now he is practicing at wide receiver. He's spending time doing some workouts. The move hasn't been finalized just yet. Again, he went 4-4 as a sophomore quarterback after taking over for Will Greer in mid-October. Now, Greer was 5-0. You know, he was doing pretty well. They beat Ole Miss pretty handily, 38-10. But then NCAA rules came down, other things that led to Will Greer transferring. So you're thinking, okay, Harris, it's on you. Well, then Harris gets in trouble. So now they don't really have a quarterback. They got Felipe Franks, a top recruit coming there. Whether he's the answer, who knows for Florida, but yet to find a quarterback that's stable. Come on, Florida. The University of Southern California Athletic Director Pat Hayden will retire June 30th, ending his guidance of the Trojans through a tumultuous period in school history. Now, he's run the athletic department for 5.5 years, and he had to take him out some pretty tough times because of the sanctions they had, thanks to Reggie Bush, and a few other things. Got him through that, but has had not the best of luck at picking a head coach for a football team. Now, I guess you could say he did a good job with keeping, Clay Helton, keeping him. So that's good for him, but, you know, it's time to call it to an end after multiple things have just been, it's been bad for USC in football the past couple seasons. It's starting to look a little bit brighter. Hopefully this is the way to go. Now, pretty cool idea, or not idea, but things that are happening at Arizona State that I want to show you. So check out these pictures. These are new renderings of Arizona State's remodeled Sun Devil Stadium that were released Monday, showing what the stadium will look like after Phase 2 of work is complete in September and what the final product will look like in September of 2017. Now, they've spent $256 million on stadium reconstruction, and again, it's being completed in 3 phases. Now, the first phase finished in September 2015. Then the $107 million second phase, which began in December, is rebuilding the west side of the stadium. Now, ASU Athletics have been raising $85 million in donations to help finance the stadium renovation, and the project is being financed without tuition or taxpayer funds. Good for the city, good for the people. But check out this video, and I like the idea of what Arizona State's doing. Check this out.
Welcome to the first phase of the reinvention of Sun Devil Stadium.
The concrete that they're pouring today is the topping out of Phase 1 is really the main concourse. So one of the biggest shifts in this stadium as we go forward over the next 2 phases is to basically create about 40,000 seats in the lower bowl. So this is going to be an incredibly intimate, collegiate environment. One of the things that Coach Graham was really excited about with the reconstruction of the Sun Devil Stadium was the opportunity to make this the most hostile playing environment in the Pac-12 by creating what he calls the double inferno. So as you guys know, our student section is the Inferno, so this is Phase 1 with 6,500 seats. We're bringing the students down into the lower bowl on the north end, so we'll have roughly 6,500 seats north, 6,500 seats south. So this is going to be an incredibly intimidating place to play if you're in the red zone and you're a opposing Pac-12 or other team from around the country. So it's going to be a great competitive advantage for ASU on the football side.
I think that's a pretty cool idea. I like it, the double inferno type thing. I think it looks really nice, and it's going to be awesome to see it complete and see how the home field changes with Arizona State and Sun Devil Stadium. Now, Adidas is offering $1 million. That's right, $1 million to any NFL prospect. I'm assuming just one. I mean, we'll have to see. Who sets the 40-yard dash record at the NFL Combine. Now, according to the website, the one catch involved is that prospects must wear Adidas gear. And footwear, that is, while running the 40-yard dash in order to be eligible for the cash prize. Now, the record is obviously Chris Johnson's record, who's out of East Carolina. His record of 4.24 seconds, which he set back in 2008. So then someone will have to beat that in Adidas gear. It doesn't matter what the cleat is. It's got to be in an Adidas footwear. Now, Adidas tried something similar before. They paid $100,000 to Minnesota Vikings cornerback Trey Wayans, Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Philip Dorsett, and Chicago Bears wide receiver Kevin White for being the 3 fastest Team Adidas athletes at last year's Combine. There's only one player that's come really close to it, and it's New York Jets and former Kent State running back Dre Archer 2 years ago when he had 4.26 seconds. 0.02 seconds, and he would have tied the record. Anything closer than that, obviously would have got the record. Whether he was wearing Adidas, it doesn't matter. It's because I don't think they were going to pay him then. But it's nice to see. Now, I feel like there's something, and I couldn't find it. I was trying to look it up, that Adidas, I think it was Adidas, that was supposed to pay someone for breaking a record or doing something like this, but they didn't end up paying him at the NFL Combine, or maybe it was a pro day. I don't really remember. Something along those lines. If you remember, put it in the comment section to let me know, because I completely forgot. But I feel like it was Adidas or maybe Under Armour that said they were going to pay for an athlete, whichever athlete broke a certain record, which I feel like was a 40-yard dash or something along those lines, and they would pay him a certain amount of money. That player ended up breaking that record or doing what they were supposed to do to get to win it, and they didn't get paid. And maybe they settled it out later on. I feel like there's something. I feel like it was just like last year, somewhere around that. But that's really it for college football news. Not a whole lot from there, but we get into the fun stuff. That's right, the NFL. Now just look at that crowd. Just look at it. Showed up to the Broncos Super Bowl celebration. They're celebrating. They're having fun. Dimitri, congratulations. Dimitri, one of my best friends, is a Denver Broncos fan, and while it pains me to say congratulations on winning the Super Bowl, congratulations, blah, blah, you know the rest. Now, a guy that was celebrating there, but might not be for too much longer, is the quarterback. Now, Peyton Manning. Now, the Denver Broncos want to give Peyton Manning, quote, as much time as he needs to make a decision about retirement, but the team would likely need to know in a month what the quarterback intends to do. Now, Manning, of course, is 39 years old. He's got 1 year left on his contract, but there's a huge deal about what's left on the contract. Now, of course, he said he wanted to take some time, talk to his family, and things like that. Now, he didn't miss 7 games this past season because of an injury, and Elway said, quote, we're going to enjoy this. We're going to let Peyton enjoy this. I'm sure he'll sit down with his family. Eventually, we'll talk to him too and go through that. There's no timeline for that right now.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in number 18, Peyton Manning, and let him hold that trophy. Well, the word was last night when you spoke to the team, at the end it got difficult to get the words out. Can you share with us what you said?
Well, it's certainly been an emotional week for everybody, Jim. And last night was a special time. Just the players and the coaches were in there together. And we just kind of reflected on what all we've been through this season. And this has been a tough, resilient, unselfish bunch of guys. And that was evident tonight in this game. And I've just been honored and grateful to have been a part of it. So I was just thanking them for letting me be a part of the journey.
You know, not everyone here inside the stadium heard what you said to Tracy Wolfson. So if you'd share it one more time. The commissioner made reference to perhaps this is your last rodeo. Is this it? Will you ever step foot on the field again tonight, or do you walk off with the fairy tale ending, holding this in your hands?
Well, Jim, I got some good advice from Tony Dungy, who's going into the Hall of Fame and my old coach, and he said, don't make an emotional decision. This has been a very emotional week, an emotional night, and I got a couple of priorities in order. I want to go kiss my wife, kiss my kids. I want to go celebrate with my family and teammates. And I'm going to drink a lot of beer tonight, Jim. Budweiser, Von Miller's buying, and those are my priorities at this point. I'll take some time to reflect on the other, but I'm going to say a prayer and a thank you to the man upstairs for this opportunity for sure as well.
Well, listen, there's only one thing that can be sweeter to have in your hands than that trophy, and that's your 2 children right here who are reaching up and wanting to grab hold of it and share it with their daddy. Congratulations, Peyton.
Now, again, Manning only has 1 year left on his contract. They signed back in 2012. The $19 million base salary, which becomes guaranteed on March 9th, tick-tock. The deal counts $21.5 million against the salary cap. So even though there's no timeline, I think we kind of know what the deadline is when this contract and when things have to get done. Now, this past season, the Broncos and Manning worked out a $4 million pay cut, which he just eventually won back because he won the AFC Championship game and took him to the Super Bowl. And then winning the Super Bowl, he got the $4 million back. Now, Elway also has to address the Super Bowl MVP's contract, and that's Von Miller. He's got to talk to him about that, whether they have to franchise tag him, which is the thing they don't want to do, or reach to a long-term deal, which is, obviously the best thing. And Von Miller says he expects it to be peaceful. We'll see about that. But they also have the quarterback in waiting, which a lot of people think, and I believe as well, is Brock Osweiler. He's a free agent. So if they franchise tag, Von Miller, then they don't have a whole lot of money to spend and keep Brock Osweiler. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see the Broncos that could end up without Peyton Manning and without Brock Osweiler too. Very unlikely that happens, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they have to work that out with the money management for keeping Von Miller, keeping Malik Jackson, who's probably going to demand $10 to $12 million per sources that are reports that are saying that he's going to demand that much money, which, given on how he played, somewhat acceptable, for that amount of money. But at the same time, Broncos are they're running out. They're running out of money here with all these guys having to get bigger deals. Now, Von Miller obviously deserves a maximum contract in 7 years, $100+ million. Whether that happens or not, who really knows? But Broncos could be easily from Super Bowl champions to, oh crap, what are we going to do with guys missing? Now, I don't think Von Miller, obviously, they're not going to let Von walk. It's franchise tag or long-term deal. That's it. They'd rather have Brock walk than have Von Miller. But, and it also gets to the point, if they don't feel so comfortable with Brock Osweiler, what are they going to do with the draft? Is there some guy they see up there? Would they trade up to get a Jared Goff or a guy that might go early, could stay back late for their pick? It's crazy what might happen with the quarterback situation. Do they wait maybe a Cody Kessler in the 4th, 5th, 6th round? Maybe Trevon Boykin. I highly doubt it, but Trevon Boykin out of TCU, doubtful, very doubtful. I don't think they want a scramble quarterback. But anyways, it's just going to be an interesting thing to watch the Denver Broncos, how they go from Super Bowl celebration to very quickly, even though they're saying they're enjoying this, he's got guys working, figuring out the numbers. Okay, what if we gave him this contract? What if we gave him this contract? This and this. How can we keep everybody except for Peyton Manning? I think that's done with. He's going to retire. But how do we keep everybody happy, paid, and get this team going and win another championship in Super Bowl 51 in Houston? I hope that doesn't happen, but that's the thought. That's the thought process going through this. There's something I was going to say that slipped my mind. Now, obviously, Broncos used the franchise tag on wide receiver Demaryius Thomas last year before giving him a max contract. I was going to say something. I'll probably remember after the show. The Philadelphia police have completed their investigation into an alleged nightclub assault of 2 of the city's off-duty police officers involving Buffalo Bills running back LeSean McCoy. Now, a spokesman for the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office said Tuesday that they have received a case from police and are reviewing it for potential charges. Within that statement another statement on Monday before that, police had said that 2 off-duty cops, both 40-year-old black men and members of the city's police department, were injured in a fight with 4 other black men, aged 26 through 30, around 2:45 a.m. Sunday. CSNPhilly.com reported that a 3rd off-duty cop was also involved in the fight. Now, police did not identify 4 suspects, but a man familiar with the investigation confirmed to ESPN and the Associated Press that LeSean McCoy, who played 6 seasons for the Philadelphia Eagles, is one of the men under investigation. Big problems now. Big problems for LeSean McCoy. The NFL is, slowly, but they are getting tired of these off-the-field fights and other assault charges on players. They're going to become more strict. We'll have to see what happens with McCoy. The video you guys have seen on my channel, I have the video up already, so you guys can go check that out on YouTube. It does point out, it was by TMZ Sports, that it does point out the video of LeSean McCoy. It shows him getting fighting and then getting pushed back by his own guys, I would assume, saying stay out of it, because he starts slowly getting out of the frame of the camera. We'll just have to see. But LeSean McCoy, come on. His attorney has said that he's kind of just by himself right now, doesn't want to really talk to anybody, and we'll just have to see. But he did say that if there were charges, that LeSean McCoy would turn himself in. So, not looking good. A great video that came out, and Seattle Seahawks have done an amazing job. And actually, I should have brought. I'll get in just a minute. After 9 years with the NFL, Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch has announced his retirement. He did it during the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 50 that Lynch tweeted out a photo of his cleats hanging from some wires, and the Seahawks did not respond with a comment, but they did something just a little bit better than that. They responded with this video that you're seeing on your screen right now. I absolutely love it. Seahawks owner Paul Allen and the organization's Twitter account made this video and thanked Marshawn Lynch for the amazing times that they had. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. I loved watching Marshawn Lynch for the Seattle Seahawks, and this video, they did perfectly for him. I don't know what else to say. He has he's fourth on the teams in most rushing yards this past season. Was a struggle for Lynch, though, because he missed several games because of injuries and abdominal injury on November 25th. And then he missed just one game and he only just missed one game. Excuse me, I'm screwing all this up. Past 4 seasons. So he was been healthy, especially with this power style running. He's been a very reliable back, in this season he was plagued by injuries. And him turning 30 this offseason, he told his agent and told, people close to him that he was dealing with back issues, dealing with more injuries, that, it's time to call it quits. I won a Super Bowl, probably still should have won 2 Super Bowls, but he won it. He did what he had to do. He accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And in his 9-year career, Lynch started 114 games, carried the ball 2,000 times, for 9,000 yards and 74 touchdowns, with finishing 4.3 yards per carry. Pretty good. Now the talk is, does Marshawn Lynch belong in the Hall of Fame? Does he have a spot? He's one of the guys that, obviously not first ballot, maybe not even second time, but I would like to see in the Hall of Fame. And obviously it just depends who's there. It's kind of hard to say, oh yeah, he'll be in the Hall of Fame, unless he's a locked in guy. Marshawn, it's like he's there. I mean, Earl Campbell, almost the exact same amount of yards, exact same stats, but it just depends who's running with him. Who's the next guy? As we saw, we thought Terrell Owens might be a lock in. Not so much. Obviously T.O. will be most likely in next year. Whether Marshawn is in at all, I would like to see it. I hope so. But if it doesn't happen, he's still one of the best running backs. Obviously one of the best ever for the Seattle Seahawks. They might, even though he finished 4th, they might rank him as the top running back because of all the moments he had, everything he gave to the Seattle Seahawks. He might be, their best running back next to Shaun Alexander. But overall, I wish the best to Marshawn. I hope he can do something, because when he has videos on him, whether it was the Real Rob Report, whether it's on Conan, whatever it is, when he has video on him, or that fish tank thing, I can't remember the name of the show, when they build him a beast mode fish tank. It's huge. It's awesome. It's made out of his logo. When he's on camera, he's funny. He's a funny guy. I wish media would be something for him, maybe for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. I don't think he's too into the too professional. He wants to do his own thing, which is cool with me. But yeah, I hope to see him in something, because he is a funny guy, and we got to have him during football season. We have to talk about Marshawn, and he's got to be able to talk back to us with football. Now, the Raiders on Tuesday, where a ton of teams, Monday and Tuesday, have just been on rapid fire, and that's what we're going to do. The Raiders, they cut safety Nate Allen after one season that he signed a 4-year, $23 million contract. He played just 5 games, and he struggled to recover from a right knee injury, so that took him out, and he is gone. Tennessee Titans, also, they cut veteran safety Michael Griffin. It was their first-round draft pick back in 2007 at the University of Texas. Elected 2 Pro Bowls, but just past couple seasons haven't been the best, as we've seen with the Titans secondary. Then the Eagles released wide receiver Riley Cooper. He's gone. New Orleans Saints, they cut their Pro Bowl guard Jari Evans, as well as David Hawthorne, Raymond Huber, and Centavius Jones. All those guys are out. And the Atlanta Falcons made the first cuts, releasing strong safety William Moore and linebacker Justin Durant. All those guys are now gone. And we'll probably see a lot more cuts and accusations really. Hopefully not accusations. People gain something. Word's not there. But anyways, we have the Super Bowl. Great Super Bowl. I loved it. Obviously, I wanted the Carolina Panthers to win, and I need to make sure I state that because what we're about to talk about it's been talked about just about everywhere. So I don't want to stay too long on it, but at the same time, I want to be able to give my opinion and kind of clear some things up that most people might be jumping to or, what's the word? Just maybe not thinking all the way through some of the things that are being said and how Cam Newton has been criticized about some things. So we're just going to talk about that. Clear it up a little bit, and we'll wrap up the show from there. Now, it's been a few days and I have it written down because I want to make sure I'm going to end up rambling a little bit, but I want to make sure I kind of like stick to my points here. So I keep looking back and forth. I'm going to have to try to have some pictures up so you guys don't really see me go back and forth too much. But in case I do, understand. Now, again, it's been a few days since his press conference that Cam Newton gave, and it's just it's been a little bit rocky since then. Now, obviously, it's the Super Bowl. Let's state the facts. It was the Super Bowl. It's Cam Newton's biggest game of his career, of his life that he's ever played, and it didn't go his way. Majority of it was not his fault. He made smart reads. Early in the game, you could tell the jitters were there. They're clearly there. Missed wide open guys by a mile. Was not close. High throws, low balls. The guys that were just wide open had 3 or 4 yards separating from a defender. He missed them. But when it came down to it, when he laid it right there, Ted Ginn drops. That ends up to be intercepted. He had other drops as well. And a ton of receivers, not just picking on Ted Ginn, ton of receivers could not hold on to the ball. And it shows you where the Carolina Panthers are. They had some receivers, Kelvin Benjamin, some other guys that they can now acquire in the draft, thankfully, because we got a pretty solid wide receiving draft class coming in. But let's handle with what we have right now. Offensive line played terribly. They were basically great all season. This game, they crashed. Mainly, Denver Broncos, pretty solid defense. One of the best, obviously, actually the best defense in the National Football League, and it showed. It truly showed. So, we knew he was going to be upset. We knew he was going to be upset. And one thing I do want to clear out is, in the press conference, there are some media people that, because they just have credentials, they got in to the press conference. A lot of those guys, you can easily pick out the guys that don't belong there. The guys that maybe bigger, I don't want to say this because just people that just had credentials. That was it. I mean, I don't want to say it's not hard to get credentials because if it wasn't, then everybody would go. But there's some people that just because who you work for, you are automatically let in. And some of those guys, obviously, you could tell with the questions they were asking, not so great. And when you've been asked the same question over and over and over again, and you have dealt with it all career, all season, and all playoffs, and all Super Bowl media week, it gets intense and it gets very boring, and you got to say the same crap over and over. And I can get how that can be aggravating. And then to add that in with a bad game, your worst game of your career, both somewhat on your part and somewhat not, you can understand where the frustration may come. But at the same time, we have seen multiple athletes, multiple sports that have dealt with worse losses in the game and overall normal performances and have handled it completely different. Now, we've also seen guys that have handled it completely worse than Cam Newton. He wasn't the worst that handled the press conference. So I want to get that out the way, because when people go on to talk about this stuff, they want to fight. And there's going to be guys that aren't going to listen to the whole thing I'm about to say, which isn't a whole lot. But what I'm about to say, a lot of people are going to just jump straight into conclusions. They're going to tweet. They're going to comment. They're going to say whatever they want first before they actually listen to everything, because, some people are just like that. I can't help that. It's just going to happen. But here's what I want to say. First, let's start off with the press conference he gave, so everybody's on the right page. This is the press conference he gave.
We'll be back.
Ron said Denver 2 years ago had a tough time. They bounced back. Did you take that to heart when you told Ken?
No.
Can you put a finger on what happened?
Got outplayed. Got outplayed, bro.
Is there anything Denver did defensively that, I know you've seen them, studied them. Was it pretty much what you had seen on film? Was there anything different you think they put in for this game?
Nothing different.
Do we sometimes, I know football players don't forget, but do we sometimes forget the defense can still take a part in the offense?
Evan Mathis at podium 14.
No.
So it's not
Anything particular that's memorable? Obviously you're disappointed. You've won tremendous games before, and I know you've had some tough losses too. This is on the biggest stage. It's difficult, I know.
Did you see anything that you didn't expect today?
They just played better than us. I don't know what you want me to say. It's like, they made more plays than us, and that's what it come down to. We had our opportunities. It wasn't nothing special that they did. We dropped balls, we turned the ball over, gave up sacks, errant passes. That's it. They scored more points than us.
Can you put into words the disappointment?
We lost.
Cam, on that fumble, was there, when you were looking at the ball, was there a thought that you were trying to pick it up and extend the play, or is that why you didn't hit the finish for it?
Changes in defensively to take away running lanes?
No.
I know you're disappointed not just for yourself, but your teammates, because you guys talked about it. You are a band of brothers coming in. And it's got to be real tough for everybody on the line.
Low spot, force y'all to throw the ball. So you throw the football. That was the game plan. Low the block, one-on-one hands outside. They got a couple big plays, but
Now, just a few seconds before he walked off, you can start hearing some talking in the background, and that's because that's Denver Broncos cornerback Chris Harris, who is talking about Cam Newton, talking about the game, and it kind of just all added up together. Cam Newton didn't give the best answers. Some of those questions, you kind of expected that answer. Some of the questions were the exact same, just phrased a little bit differently. So you got to understand that as well. But here's the thing. I'm a Cam Newton fan. I like the Carolina Panthers. I'm not a bandwagon. As you see, I got San Diego Chargers stuff. We sucked. I'm still a fan. But this is the main thing. When you are the face of the franchise for the Carolina Panthers, that is a fact. And you are now becoming the face of the National Football League. Tom Brady slowly going away. Peyton Manning obviously going to ride off into the sunset most likely, or join the Browns or the Rams. You know, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Drew Brees, you got other guys like that, but you're quickly becoming the face of the National Football League. It's a huge deal. That's a ton of responsibility that most people cannot understand or even think about everything that goes on to that. You can't do what you did. It's that simple. You have to be able to take that. And the main problem that a lot of people are having, and the reason they don't like Cam Newton or they now don't like him because of what happened, is mainly because if you're going to be the guy who's dancing and celebrating and running all around the sideline and doing whatever when you're winning and you're doing that, and that's I guess that's great. I don't mind it. I don't really care. I think celebrating should be ending that in the football in the NFL. I hate that you can't celebrate after touchdowns like they used to be back with T.O. and Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson. I don't think those should be flags. Or when Marshawn Lynch when he dived and stuff like that. But if you're gonna be the guy who is that and is everywhere basically, you cannot be the guy who, when you lose, you just shut down. You can't do it. You can't be both. And that is the problem a lot of people were having. That's the problem I had. And now it's been a few days. You're able to calm down. You kind of think of it a little bit differently, especially when I was writing this. I was like, yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. And I was like, wait a minute. And start thinking of it a little bit more. And you come to understand some things about what happens and how we've never, the people, the media, a lot of us, unless you're the player, you've never felt a Super Bowl loss. Maybe your team, but that's not the same. That's not you playing it. So I understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to be the guy that's happy-go-lucky, when you lose, and I get it's the biggest game of your career, you've never been in the Super Bowl, you finally got there after all those losing seasons in Carolina and the frustrating seasons, you finally get there, and your whole team just has the worst game of their career. I get that you're going to be upset, but at the same time, handle the good with the good and the bad with the bad, and you cannot just shut down like he did. Now, I know we were just talking about Marshawn Lynch earlier, and in his press conference before the Super Bowl, he was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's funny. That's just Marshawn, and he's like that when he wins and when he loses. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, they're boring throughout each press conference. They win the Super Bowl, they lose the Super Bowl. They've lost. Remember the undefeated record? They had all the way, and then they lose in a terrible game, their worst game. A better example is Russell Wilson. Wins the Super Bowl his first time. Awesome. Great job. Dominating performance. Second time around, you can put majority of the blame on Russell Wilson for losing that game. You blame it on him. You could blame it on Pete Carroll. You blame it on the offensive coordinator. Even maybe Marshawn Lynch saying, give me the ball. And whoever. But at the quarterback position, you're going to get majority of the blame. Russell throws what would become the game-winning interception for the New England Patriots. All they had to do was run it. We all know the story. But he goes there in his press conference, and this is what he does.
How hard is it to lose 1 yard away from
I've watched a lot of games, and I've been in a lot of games, and it always hurts to lose. It doesn't matter how you lose it, It doesn't matter how you win it. You just want to score one more point than they do. So there's so many different things we could have done throughout the game, I think, to just solidify but potential win for us, but it didn't happen for us today. Tom Brady, I give a lot of credit to him on what he did tonight. Made some great plays, and so being on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, whatever we were, I wish we had scored. I don't care who scores. I don't care how we do it. Just as long as we find a way.
Were you going to lock it the whole time, Russell? Were you going to lock it the whole time there? Was there any other read you had?
There was another read on the other side, but that wasn't the side I'm supposed to go to, and trusted my progression on it. And like I said, Butler made a great play. Really, I haven't. I really want to see it. I tried to look on the field, but it hadn't popped up yet. So.
Pete's taking the blame for this whole blame. Is that fair?
I put the blame on me. I'm the one who threw it. So it's something you learn from, something you grow from. I'm proud of our guys by the way that we, got down the field there in that situation, made so many great plays down the field, and we're right there. And you just keep learning, keep growing.
That takes a lot right there. That takes a ton And you can't just say, oh, well, he's been to one Super Bowl, so he was prepared for it. You're never prepared for a Super Bowl loss. You can say, all right, it's going to be tough, but we're going to get through it. You are never prepared, and your worst nightmare as a quarterback is to throw an interception at the end of the game that if that play goes a little bit differently, you end up winning it on that one play, and you're that close at the goal line. That's the quarterback's worst nightmare. That's worse than what Cam Newton did. And I'm not jumping on him because he didn't jump on the football. You can tell by his knee, and I'm glad that came out about his knee, because you could see that he looked awkward before he could go to the ball. I don't think it was a business decision. I don't think he was thinking about, well, I don't want to hurt myself in case we get another chance. So obviously we saw where it ended up. But, But back to the press conference. We're going to talk a little bit more. Deion Sanders, he also had to say this right after the game.
Something that happened last night was very profound. Not only the guys that inducted to the Hall of Fame, but Cam received NFL MVP. Do you understand what that means? You're the most valuable player, the most valuable person, the most valuable individual that we have in our league. You are the face of our brand right now. You can't do that. That's true. I understand the emotions of losing, but you can't do that. A Manning, a Brady, all these guys that has been the prototypical type of quarterback in our game, they're not going to do that. Would Drew Brees ever?
But Cam is not them.
Okay, he's not them, but
I'm going to say this, Prime. Cam is not them,
Marsh.
And nobody says you have to accept losing.
No, we're not saying accept losing.
I'm saying he is going to learn from this, but the pain that he's going through, you have to be capable to sit up there and answer these questions. And if you are not mature enough to do it, don't say something wrong trying to do something right.
But my point is, as well,
you say the wrong thing,
yeah,
it's worse than what it is.
But you just walked off. You're opening yourself up for more criticism because everybody going to say, oh, you dabbing and smiling and styling and profiling when you winning.
Right.
So this is how you go act when you lose?
Then we had Cam Newton taking some responsibility after the press conference, after a day. Talks to the media a day later, and this is what he said.
Obviously, I had a lot of time to think about it, and I've seen so much, blown out of proportion. But, at the end of the day, when you invest so much time, when you sacrifice so much, and things don't go as planned, I think emotions take over. I think that's what happens. And as far as trying to be like this person, trying to be like that person, I heard numerous, quotes about, what if this person was in that situation? How would he have handled it? Well, we've seen this person do that. How he would have handled it. Well, the truth of the matter is I'm not trying to be this person, nor am I trying to be that person. I've said it since day one. I am who I am. I know where I'm capable of. I know what I'm capable of, and I know where I'm going. And I don't have to conform to anybody else's wants for me to do. I'm not that guy. If you want me to be this type of person, I'm not that, and I'm happy to say that. You know what I'm saying? This league is a great league with or without me. I understand that, and I am my own person. I take pride in that, and it's pretty much how I feel.
You don't have any regrets at all from how you handled it? Not to say that you should. I'm just asking if you.
I really don't. I mean, it happened. It happened. I didn't want to talk to the media at the time. And truth of the matter is, I really still don't want to talk to the media. But at the end of the day, things has to happen. I had a lot of time to go back and play everything back. And like I say, I'm human. I've never once said that I was perfect. I never proclaimed that I was perfect. But at the end of the day, people pick and they do things of that sort. And the truth of the matter is, who are you to say that your way is right? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, we got all these people that's condemning and saying, oh, man, he should have did this, that, and the third. But what makes your way right? I've been on record to say I'm a sore loser. Who likes to lose? You show me a good loser, and I'm going to show you a loser.
Again, that's not what you want when you're the face of the NFL, or close to be. And you've been talked about everywhere and everything. Now, he says, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. Well, not the best quote you could have gave, because because I guess you're calling your teammates a loser. I guess you're calling Josh Norman a loser. He was very emotional at the end of the game, and that's to be expected when you lose. It hurts. You're gonna cry, but I guess he took it well. But that means he's still a loser. I guess the city of Charlotte and the entire Carolina Panthers, majority of the Carolina Panthers fans are just losers. Most of them took it. It's tough, but we got a good team. We'll be back next year. I guess that's a good loser. So, but they're still just losers then, right? I guess you could say, well, you're taking it out of context. Not really. When he said, show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. I guess they're still losers in the end. And that's not right. That's not right. Los Angeles Lakers, Kobe Bryant, he said it a good way. He talked about what Cam Newton did. And this is what he said, quote, you have to take the good with the bad. You cannot be a champion when things are going good, and then when things go south, run to cover. That's not what a champion does. You have to stand up and take the good with the bad, end quote. That's what Kobe Bryant said. And said how he's dealt with wins and with losses. Now, sure, Cam Newton, he's going to learn from this, but he's going to need to do it pretty quick because a ton of people, a ton of kids, and just overall fan bases, they look up to Cam Newton. They really do. Because it's really, I don't understand the people that just hate Cam Newton. It's really hard to hate Cam Newton. I tried to when he was in college and TCU was trying to battle and get up there, during the BCS rankings and stuff. And I was like, man, Auburn just lose or Oregon just lose. And I didn't like when Cam Newton was celebrating, when he was winning and stuff like that. Even in college, he's the same guy. That's another thing. He's the same guy that he was at Florida, at junior college in Blinn, back at Auburn, and then to the NFL. He's been the same guy. He's the exact same guy. There isn't change. You can tell from the photos and the videos, he's just smiling and all the other stuff. He's the same guy. Matured, but same guy. Still likes to have fun. And then there's the argument that came out that said, and here's the picture of it. I'm not going to go quote for quote, but as you see on your screen of what this guy said on Facebook, said, well, Peyton lost in Super Bowl 44 against the Saints. He didn't go over to shake anybody's hand. The media didn't rip him. And then he also talks about LeBron James when he just walks off. And last time I checked, LeBron James, he got ripped. He got ripped very badly after that. And he's done it multiple times where he's just kind of stormed off and taken off his jersey the first time when he left Cleveland, and when he took it off and that's done. He's done with Cleveland and blah, blah, blah. And then when he doesn't shake it, when he just walks away and he storms out, he gets ripped every single time he did that. Every time he did that, he got ripped by every single media member for just the amount as long. Maybe not as long when there's another playoff series to go. Maybe like something called the finals. And so people got to start talking about that, who the two teams are. They got to quickly talk about that. After the Super Bowl, there's nothing else to talk about other than the draft, but that's still until April. We still got months into that, or April, May. We still got the NFL Combine. There's a huge gap. So this is going to be talked about for another week or two. Hopefully not, but that's just how it is unless we get some other news on Johnny Manziel. That's just how it's going to be. And, and then you talk about Peyton Manning. He got ripped as well. I don't understand where people are coming from with that that the media didn't go after him, that they're only going after Cam Newton for certain reasons. Peyton Manning got ripped. People questioned his attitude. People questioned who he really was. Was he just this arrogant quarterback that, just one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, but just not a really good guy, outside the field and all these other things. He was criticized. All these guys were criticized. Everybody's handled things poorly, have been criticized, and especially over the growing years when social media is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it happens like that. People don't want to face it because maybe they're fans of the Carolina Panthers. They just lost the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying all Panthers fans are the only ones complaining. There's tons of people that do not like Cam Newton and are going after him. It's going to happen. There's people that don't like Tom Brady. People go after him. But you don't see Tom Brady just complaining. He's like, it's fine by me. I don't really care what you guys have to say. Never has. Now, furthermore, people then want to make this about race, which is the most annoying thing that people can do when it has nothing to do with race. And I'm going to say this. When Cam Newton suggested that race might play may play a factor in why he's becoming a lightning rod for public criticism, this is what a report said, quote, "I'm an African American quarterback that scares people because they haven't seen nothing they can compare me to." Okay, I get it if you're looking at a football player and we're analyzing your football skills, yeah, there really hasn't been a 6'5" quarterback, 245 pound, that can really throw the ball accurately, has football IQ like Cam Newton, and has the speed and mobility that he has at any race or any color. He's right. I don't understand why it has to be because he's an African American quarterback. When I look at a player, when I do my own analysis on stuff, I'm not thinking, oh, well, he's white, he can't do it. Or he's black, he can't do it. He's Mexican, he can't do it. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. And people want to make it about race. That's why I don't watch ESPN's First Take anymore, because they have to jump to anything, and anything they can switch and to make it race, oh, they're going to do it. They're going to do it very quickly. I mean, they even had Marlon Wayans talk about 50 Shades of Black in his movie. And Skip Bayless says, well, I'm white. Is it okay if I go see it? Did this movie say, oh, white people cannot see it? No, but they have to make it about race. And that is what's very frustrating in some media, that things have to be switched to race when they have nothing to do with it and has nothing to do with it. I can't remember any time that Warren Moon talked about how he scares people, or people are scared of him because they don't want to criticize an African American quarterback like him because they have nothing to compare him to. I don't remember hearing that. I don't remember Michael Vick talking about it. I don't remember Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair, Donovan McNabb. The list goes on and on. There have been many guys before Cam Newton, and there's going to be many quarterbacks after Cam Newton that are African American, that are Hispanic, could be Chinese, it could be Asian, it could be anything. It does not matter about your race and whether you can play football. And why that gets brought up every time, it blows my mind. I don't understand. I do not understand. It's weird. Again, sure, Cam Newton is a 6'5", 245 pound dominant quarterback, but I do not think about his race or his color when I'm trying to compare him or talk about his game. It doesn't come to my mind, and it shouldn't. Why should it? I don't know. It's weird that it gets brought up at every single opportunity, and I'm not just blaming Cam. I'm talking about just overall. But it's a little upsetting that he had to bring that up to just say that. It's like, well, what does it matter if you're African American or you're white or you're Hispanic? It doesn't matter when it comes to game to football. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I don't think about it when it comes to that. I don't know. But Cam Newton, he received an amazing text from his mother before the Super Bowl, but he failed to live up to those expectations when it came down to it. She said, and I'm just picking part of it. I'm not taking that out of context. You can read it right here on your screen. And for you guys that are listening on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, go ahead and check it out on YouTube on the Short Sports Show. Links are in the description, of course. She goes on to say, you have a platform, so speak boldly in the nations that you represent. Through your language and actions, speak words of uplift and not tear down, end quote. That's what she said. When it came down to it, he did not use the platform correctly. He didn't talk like Russell Wilson. Russell handled it greatly for in that position that he was in. Did a great job. You got to think about basically the kids that had to watch all of them. In fact, And that will be affected by thinking maybe it's okay to shut down. Well, Cam did it, but he's going to learn from it, so it's okay if I can do it. It's going to happen. Not every kid. I'm not saying every kid's going to be affected, but there are some. And again, like I said, also, I'm not being one-sided. Peyton Manning, he said right after the win that he's going to drink a ton of Budweiser. Now, I'm not trying to be one of those soccer moms that are overprotected and whatnot, but, I mean, come on, dude. Let's just talk about the win. Say you're going to Disney World or whatever. Don't just say, well, I'm going to drink a ton of Budweiser when I get home. Like, what? Come on. Like, it's dumb. In all, I get it. It's the biggest game of your life. But when you're high up on a pedestal, and again, he worked very hard for that. Cam Newton has put nothing but hard work into this and dedication. You have to handle, again, the highs when you're up high and the lows when you're down low. You got to deal with it. You got to find a way. And he's got resources all around him to find, to fix this. So when he has maybe a playoff loss or another Super Bowl loss, handle this differently. That's all. Again, you can look back on it. Oh, yeah, you would handle it differently, blah, blah, blah. It's just we expected more from Cam Newton. And the people that wanted him down, they had it right there. They got it, and they're getting it. They're receiving all that attention, saying, I knew he was going to, I knew he was going to fall, or I knew he wouldn't win, or he got what he deserved, and all these negative things. And it's terrible, but people are like that. Some people are just like that. But there are some that said, come on, Cam, that are just trying to say, hey, you got to handle this differently. But when you say that, you're automatically criticized about it. And it's just like, all I'm saying is you got to handle it differently. That's it. And I gave the reasons why. I gave the facts why. That's all. That's all I wanted to really say. Again, when multiple professional athletes from different sports all agree that you handled it differently, the media is not just after you. That's it. I highly doubt Cam Newton will ever see this, but I thought I'd just share it out to people. Again, we will be back next Wednesday on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, on Spreaker.com, on Stitcher Radio, on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for the support. I will see you guys next Wednesday. We have a special guest next Wednesday who's going to talk about the NFL draft. We're going to go through our mock draft of the first round. Be sure to stay tuned and check that out. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I might even make it a separate episode as well. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. We're going to talk about Combine. We're going to talk about a ton of stuff after Super Bowl. We're not going to talk about the Cam Newton thing anymore. I just needed to get it all out. It's all out. I feel better. I feel good. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you're brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. Become a part of the Short Sports Show. Follow me on Twitter at short under. Oh, I switched it up on you. So I just seeing if you're paying attention. At Short Sports Show. That is our new Twitter handle. Be sure to check it out. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next Wednesday. And as always, God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.
Forever, I'ma do this here forever. Forever, I'ma do this here forever. Forever, I'ma do this here forever. Forever, I'ma do this here forever.
I done came way too far for me to stop it now. I done worked way too hard just to drop it now. We came so